Today, on Shift Today with Alison, I will be talking about respect. Respect and how it's connected to the intuition. So stay tuned. Welcome to Shift Today with Alison. My name is Alison Shuhazi, and I'm your host today. So thank you for joining me. So today I want to talk about respect and what that means and what that looks like. I am 53, and my perception of respect continues to change as I age. And one thing has just come to light recently, and I wanted to bring this to the table, especially the table where we're talking about intuition and listening to ourselves and listening to our inner knowing, right? I do believe, just like love, I believe respect begins here with me. If I am showing respect, I believe then I am gaining respect, right? Do you remember? I'm not sure if you grew up with this phrase. I don't think this is not new. This is ancient. I actually have a little piece that I pulled up about this very thing here. And it is about respecting. Do you remember that phrase, respect your elders? You must respect your elders. Don't disagree with that. I think that's amazing. Because there's so much wisdom that elders have, right? And we can look to them for wisdom. However, there's a lot of elders that don't want to share stories, that don't want to not just share their stories, but share their experiences, good and bad. Like, what did they learn from something? Yet, I remember when I was young being told I needed to respect my elders. Now, as I am growing into becoming an elder, I look at respect for all. Respect for all. There are some elders out there who, like I mentioned earlier, don't share, have not wanting to share ever. Some who are cruel, who are abusive, who turn their eye to watching somebody else get abused, and who are just downright disrespectful. So I don't believe in the old phrase of always respecting your elders. I believe respect is earned, right? How does that feel for you? Do you feel like you earn respect from others by showing them respect? I believe somebody can do something, and just because somebody might have a misstep in their life doesn't necessarily mean that they've lost my respect or that they are being disrespectful. Perhaps they're just really having a bad day and something really bad happens. I do not believe that we should be judged based on one experience, one bad experience. However, when it comes to respect can be gained even further. If somebody does have a misstep, maybe perhaps if I did something horrible and said something horrible to you or about you or did something bad, and I came back because then I said, oh gosh, I was just having the worst day. I am so ashamed of my behavior, and I hope you can forgive me. I hope that would allow respect to continue on between us, right? But if there's a history of disrespectful behavior over and over and over, sometimes it takes a while for us to wake up to those levels of disrespect. And I believe why is because we've been taught to respect our elders. But yet our insides are saying, yuck, this person is terrible. This person is disrespectful to others. This person is mean and cruel and just not kind. So no, I don't want them in my life. But in the past, we were taught, no, that's your elder. You need to respect them. Recently, my husband's son and his wife, they just had their first baby. And they live on the other side. We are in Arkansas. They're on the East Coast. And they had a plan. They had a plan for the hospital. They had a plan of who they wanted to have at their home when the baby came home. It was very specific. And personally, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was so beautiful that they're in their late 20s. They have their boundary in place. They have their boundary in place. And you know what a boundary is? It's self-respect. A boundary is self-respect. They knew who they wanted to have at the hospital with them. They knew who they were wanting to have there when their child was born. And they stuck with it. And some asked me, oh, does that make you feel bad? You weren't invited. And I said, no, actually, never thought that was their intention ever to invite me. And that's okay. If anything, I look at this experience that I just went through, which is really on the peripheral, right? I'm on the outside of it, as a very respectful moment. And so here I am looking at the younger generation and respecting them and respecting their choices. And honestly, just being just overjoyed for them that they had that. And it made me reflect on myself, thinking to myself, gosh, if I was that age and at that time, I would have thought, oh, I have to invite this person and I have to invite that person because my elders are telling me I need to do that. I remember back at my very first wedding, you have a guest list. And there was somebody on the guest list that I did not want on the guest list at all. It was an uncle it was like a once removed uncle, right? And I love the once removed aunt. She's amazing, but the once removed uncle is just not a respectful man at all. He's just mean and completely just not my people. He's been so disrespectful to so many people that I know. And I didn't want him at my wedding, but guess what? I was younger and that's what I needed to do to respect my elders, was to invite him. And luckily, guess what? He didn't come. He's so disrespectful because we didn't have a church wedding. He said, I'm not coming to that wedding. And I was like, whoo, thank goodness. Don't have to put up with that. But we are taught, we used to be taught. I don't know if other children are being taught this, probably today, to respect their elders. And I'm not saying not to. That's not what I'm saying. But if it doesn't feel good, if a child does not feel good around an elder, whether it's a grandparent, whether it's a parent, an aunt, a teacher, whomever, we are forcing children today out of their intuition. It's been happening for decades. This is nothing new. Because they must respect their elders, yet some of those elders are not respectful to the children. I have friends that I maybe I should call them acquaintances, really. They were friends until I started pulling away because just the way they treat their children and who they make their children spend time with is ugh, it's not a good feeling. And I know it's not a good feeling for the child. You can visibly see how they feel about their elders, and their behavior, right, is not kind or not respectful to themselves, because they're being forced to respect elders that they just do not gel with, they don't connect with, and they make them feel yucky. And that makes me sad. And I have to disassociate myself from some situations where I'm witness to that, because there's nothing I can do about it. And this is happening around the world. This is not just here where I live. In my community, it's everywhere. And I think it takes away from the honesty and the authenticity of respect. If we are forcing someone to, or if you are forcing yourself to try to respect someone who continues to be deceitful, disrespectful, ugly to you, why do we work so hard to change those people when they just aren't going to, and they just don't want to? It's because we were trained to do that. I have a family member. My mom has three sisters, and one sister, the middle sister, I divorced her long before my parents did, long before anybody in the family did. I say the word divorce because to me, that's a choice. I had a choice whether to stay in a relationship with this woman or to leave. And I chose to leave. I'm the only one who knew I left her and was no longer in contact with her, and would not let her have any contact with my nucleus of my family. It was my husband. He's the only one that knew for years and years that I had divorced my aunt. Why did I divorce her? She thought she was the cool aunt by letting me get drunk on the beach when I was 18 and puke in the sand. And well, she laughed at me with her elder friends. She was the aunt that I saw repeatedly abuse other family members, young and old. And she just had this crazy personality. And one day I said, enough. I can't change her, but I'm never, ever going back to her. And then she started to abuse others. And she was even worse to my parents. And I said, I can't talk about her. I don't want to have anything to do with her. Until it was brought up in court. I believe how the story goes, this is several years ago. There was litigation between my mom and her sisters after the death of her parents. And because this one aunt that I divorced needed more and more money, more money. She needed more money. She needed more things. She needed all the things. She needed all of it. She felt like she deserved all of it. She was always like that. And I divorced her. And they were in court, and she was yelling at my parents that my parents turned what was it, turned her against me or me against her, however it was. And the reason she didn't have a relationship with me anymore was because of my parents and all the things. And I'll never forget, my dad called one day after court and he's like, when is the last time you spoke to her? And I was like, oh God, Dad, it's been years. He's like, what? I go, oh yeah, I'm done. I was done. I couldn't stand the way I've watched her behave throughout the years. And no child should be afraid of an adult like she wanted us to be afraid of her. And no parent should be afraid of their child. and how she treated her mother. And I was out. There was nothing I could do, nothing in that situation. And I was close to the situation. And so I said, not today. I'm moving out. I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm no longer having anything to do with it. And it was years. And I remember him laughing on the phone. He's like, I can't believe you did that. And I said, I know how to look out for myself. I learned I don't need to put up with stuff. I do not need to put up with disrespect. And I don't care if it's family. I don't choose her to be in my family. And so when it comes to respect and elders, yes, there are some, I hold in high regard. Some I love so much, some who I've had a rocky relationship and it has changed over the years, only to land in a more beautiful spot now as I'm growing older and they're growing older and I'm understanding them a little bit more because some of them choose to share, right? Which is so lovely. I love hearing a great story, especially from an elder. I was fortunate my mom worked with senior citizens as I was growing up, and I've gotten to know so many beautiful senior citizens, and I love the stories over and over. So as you navigate today, notice what is your level of respect? Number one, for yourself. How much do you respect this being, right? Who you're spending your time with? Do you feel guilty if you don't reply to somebody who you don't really have respect for or who disrespects you? Do you make time? Do you carve out time in your life to spend it with those you have deep respect for, that you learn from, whether they're elders or youngers or sames, right? Same age. Or are you carving out time? And I know the holidays are coming up. I'm recording this in October, so, and of course the Christmas stuff's already in the stores. But coming forward, right? Are you going to be carving out all sorts of time and spending all sorts of money to go spend time with people who disrespect you and who you have no respect for because you feel you have to because they are your elders? It's a choice. It is a choice. Just like our power that we have, our energy that we get to choose who we share our energy with and where we put our power in our life. So are you choosing that yucky feeling inside, which is your intuition saying, no, stop, don't go. Don't share your power and energy with those disrespectful people. I don't care if they're family or not. Or are you listening and saying, not this year. I'm going to start pulling away. I'm going to start pulling away because, they might not want to spend time with me as much as I don't want to spend time with them. And that's okay. That just makes more time and room in your life for those that you love and you respect, who love and respect you back. Not everyone that is placed in your life is meant to be there for the long haul. If you are spending time even thinking about someone who is disrespectful to you, ask yourself, why am I spending so much time and energy on something and someone that does not feel good? Allow it to dissipate, allow it to move on so that you open up that space of disrespect that you're spending so much time on trying to change someone to be respectful or to find it in your heart to respect somebody who continues to abuse you or disrespect you. That is not authenticity. That is wasting time. So where are you going to spend your time? I'm going to spend my time with people who want to spend time with me, who I learn from. Whether they're youngers or elders. Youngers, is that a good word? I don't know. What are we going to call them? The younger generation or the neutrals? Me, right? My age. There's so much to be gained from learning. And I see this next generation coming up. I see the generation I'm raising, our boys. We are teaching them how to respect themselves. And when it doesn't feel good to be with someone else, we have their back. I remember the moment I stopped making my kids hug everyone they saw, even a family member. I'm like, you know what? It's on them if they want to hug someone, not on me. It really that's their energy, their power, their love, their compassion, their respect that they can share. And it's up to them if they want to do that, not up to me. Whether it was my parents, whether it was my aunts and uncles, whether it was Dave's mom, whether it was Dave's family. No, they didn't have to. And that's okay. And they know who they like to spend time with because it feels good. And they absolutely know who they don't want to spend time with because it doesn't feel good. So notice today where you are in your life and perhaps maybe something that's coming up, right? Maybe you have an event coming up. Maybe you're already planning Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it is. And ask yourself, and you're planning, right? Because you're spending a lot of time with planning. You're spending a lot of thought, which is time and feeling and money to spend time with people. Do you want to share all of that with them? Are they respectful? Do you feel good when you're with them? Or is it a chore? Like, oh God, I have to do this. I have to do this. You really don't have to do anything. And it doesn't matter how they feel about you. I'm going to give you that. Where's the pass? I wish I just had the pass, like to hand it to you right now. Here's the pass. You don't have to make anyone else happy. It's up to you. You have a choice. If you are spending your hard-earned money and time with somebody who continues to disrespect you, I don't care if you've made a commitment to them, and I don't care if they've made a commitment to you. Commitments don't always last forever. Really, very few do. And the ones that should are the respect that you have for yourself and who you are going to share that with, the love you have for yourself, and who you are going to share that with. Because that's your choice. You have that choice. And I am always so grateful when I get to spend time with those that I have a connection with, that I love so deeply, and who I respect. And I also appreciate when someone can't spend time with us because they know their boundary. They know what their boundaries are and they know what they want in their life. Yes, there might be a little piece of me that's like, oh, I want to be part of that. Yes, absolutely. But if it's not good for them at this time, it's okay. Because that just opens up more time for me to spend time with people that want to spend time with me. And it goes both ways, right? Vice versa, always vice versa. Your intuition is going to tell you and teach you what respect means to you. If something doesn't feel good, then it's not good. And it doesn't have to necessarily mean forever, like me divorcing an aunt. It could just mean not right now. and that is okay. So I hope today you can walk away asking yourself, when something's coming up, is this something that's good for me? Does it feel good for me? Because you're wasting not only your time, somebody else's time if you have no respect for them and you are spending time with them. Yeah. Allow your authenticity to bloom, and it will bloom when you are listening to your intuition. It is such a beautiful piece of who you are navigating this life as you shift today into a greater tomorrow. Bye-bye. This episode of Shift Today with Alison was created, directed, produced, edited, and written, and 100% done by Alison Chuhazi. That's me. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, share this with a friend, rate and or review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and just end up having a beautiful day. See you next time.